Greetings and welcome back to another episode of the Sigma Nu Zeta Upsilon podcast. My name is Dominic Frattura, and I'm here joined with Jeffrey Digger Barnes, the most legendary social chairman in Sigma Nu Zeta Upsilon history.
I would go beyond social chair, but I would say legendary active member.
So where do we even start with you? Because
You mean, is this part one? I come back for part two and then three? Or
you can come back as many times as you want, and I think because you have so many stories.
yeah, I do, and I kind of not forgot them, but when I started thinking about it, it was like one was on top of the other one, and I'm like, well, how should I start? Should I start why I even ended up at Sigma Nu? Or
yeah, but I mean, you're getting old. That's why. How old are you now? 60?
I wish. I just turned 66 last week.
Happy birthday.
Well, thank you.
Happy belated
Is
birthday.
there a present? Oh, here's my present. You might have a sip of the present here.
That's funny. So let's just recap. So you were in the house what era, and what was your pledge class?
Okay.
And what's your badge number?
Okay. ZY579, and my pledge class was fall of 79. So we were a rock chapter. My pledge class back then, I remember we started with 36 people, which back then was huge. It was a fall pledge class, so you're coming in September and everything. But it was huge. It was a big thing. They were exploding, trying to build it up. Had a bunch of great guys, did great recruiting, great rushing. They were already good. They weren't good 5 years prior. I mean, I don't want to say anything bad about anybody because I won't, but they really started coming into their own back then. And, of course, on the housing corps was John Thorne, Pete Fagella, Corky, Dan Rodriguez. I mean, that was our housing corps. A little bit different than, when Brian Amster and I were on the housing corps.
All those years later.
Oh, yeah. So
where did it start for Digger? And by the way, how did you get the name Digger?
Okay. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't even know my real name is Jeff or Jeffrey. But Digger, back when I was a pledge, a big TV show, and half the people won't know this, was called Dallas, okay? You can Google it. J.R. Ewing was a big character. There was the Ewing family and the Barnes family. So now you know where I'm going with this. And my father, at the time, lived in Texas about 1.5 miles from the South Fork Ranch, which is where they filmed the show. Mm-hmm. And, of course, the Ewing and the Barnes family, and there was a character on there named Digger Barnes. But, of course, that's kind of boring. So when I was in college, I'm talking to a girl at Bandersnatch or whatever. How'd you get your name Digger?
Bandersnatch was a bar?
Oh, awesome bar. Oh, do I have to tell stories about that too?
I'm sure you got them. We'll do a whole episode on Bandersnatch.
On Bandersnatch, we get a group in here for that one. So, so I tell girls like, I worked at a cemetery, digger, or I was a professional volleyball player, digging, but the boring story is that it was named after a TV show. But I remember, speaking of Brian Amster, not to give him all his credit now, sorry, Brian, there was a blackboard at 601 Alpha Drive, and vendors would come and like poke things. I hear buy this, buy that. And there was a big thing on there that said, it showed like mugs, glass mugs and paperweights and things. And there's like, you can put your nickname here. And I had just gotten a nickname. And I'm standing there looking at it with Brian Amster, and I said, hey, Brian, you think I ought to get a mug that says Digger on it? And he says, you better wait to see if it sticks first. So, and today,
professionally, people even call you Digger.
Yeah, they do. If you look me up on LinkedIn, it says Jeffrey Digger Barnes. And I did that so people would remember me.
Yeah.
Because Jeffrey Barnes was like, who's calling?
Yeah. So okay. Rewind to the very beginning.
Okay.
How did your Sigma Nu story start?
Wow. So I had no idea about fraternities other than hearing about them in TV shows or whatever. And my parents didn't go to school. I mean, they didn't go to college. So they were like, no, that's just a party, city. And my best friend at the time, Jerry Johnson, my pledge class, we went to high school together, lived on the same street. He talked me into going into a fraternity. And so we had this deal like we're going to get into the same fraternity. So do not accept a bid from anybody until we talk it over. And so it was summertime. It was before school, even before Rush started. And we got invited to Brian Amster's house. Here he is again. And having a pool party, and everybody's there. And they wanted Jerry, right? Because he looked the part. He looked like Donny Osmond, male model. He had the Izod with the flipped up collar and the no shoes and the no socks and the shoes and the plaid short. He just looked preppy, right? And at the time, I looked like Jeff Spicoli, surfer dude. I had the long hair and probably dressed like I am today. But I was, on the other hand, I was being recruited by everybody else because before they saw my face, I was student body president, and I was on National Honor Society, football, track, all these things. And I go, oh, there's a good guy. But they wanted Jerry. So they take me up, and they did the whole thing, and they actually gave me a bid. And I'm like, okay. So they put the pledge pin on me, and I come walking out, and Jerry looks at me like, WTF? I'm like, So, of course, he got his bid that night, too. So I came to there's a guy, Brother Jeff Greenlee, Dr. Jeff Greenlee, my pledge class. They're having Rush, and I was already a pledge by then. And I remember walking around the pool, the infamous pool, and he thought I was like the pool guy because I had like long hair and like surfer shorts and probably not a shirt on or anything. He thought I was the pool guy, the maintenance guy, which I wasn't. So, so that's how I started. And I was the last pin number in my pledge class. And what's ironic, I said earlier I was National Honor Society and I had scholarships. I had a 1.5. I started off as an engineering major. I'm laughing. I don't know why. Both my parents were engineers. So I started off like that. And I ended up in business like half everybody else did. And I wanted to play football and do all these things. But all of a sudden, I remember also being at the pool, and an active came up. He goes, well, we don't haze. And I'm like, I didn't even understand what that meant. What does haze mean? I didn't know the fraternity or anything, military or what. So I go, what is haze? He goes, oh, we don't. He was telling me. And I go, oh, good, because if you do, I'm going to haze you back. And then I'm like, later I'll go in. That was not the right thing to say to an active member, right? I wasn't cocky. I was just like, oh, yeah, bring it. So that was the beginning of my, so I had the long hair. There's a whole nother story.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. There used to be a place, this is really funny, called Ray's ASU Barbershop. Cheapest place ever. Yeah. I just drove by. Obviously, I never got my hair cut. So they were giving me shit, because everybody else is preppy, short hair, and all this kind of stuff. And then there's me, and there's one other guy, maybe another guy. And so they're always giving me a hard time. And so finally I said, okay, because I had no money either. I'm giving plasma, and I was a bouncer at Minder Binders and doing all these things, trying to earn money. But so I said, okay, I will get my hair cut. This was at dinner. I said, okay, everybody, I'm going to get my hair cut, be like you, non-conformed, and I'm going to, but I can't pay for it. So they passed around a hat at dinner, and this is 1979, and I got it, and it was like $84. So I'm like, what's the cheapest place to get my hair cut? And it was Ray's ASU Barbershop, $4.50, probably tipped them $1, and then I got the Dan Quayle look now. This is the way they cut it, and this is the way it stayed. Well, except I grew it out one time during COVID. But what's really ironic, I went to the Chuck Box today to meet Pete Berkey, and I'm on my way home to Ahwatukee, or not home, my son's house. I live in Tyler, Texas now. And I stopped by Ray's ASU Barbershop, and the guy who cut my hair still works there.
You're kidding me.
And when I walked in, he's like, Jeff, how's it going? We're Facebook friends. I'll have to admit that, but he's still there. So go to ASU Barbershop, ask for Lloyd Smith, and tell him Digger sent you.
How old is this guy?
He's actually 80. A little bit older than me, but he was really young.
I see. So
and he ended up buying it from the original owner, Ray.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So you're a pledge. Did you get in trouble during pledgeship at all?
Oh, I'm sure I did. Well, it was harder to get in trouble back then because people didn't have phones with cameras on them. And drinking age was 19. And plus I would run from cops. A lot of us would run. And here we are, in college, fraternity guys. We were known as the gentlemen, which we were, but we were very diverse. That's what you had certain fraternities that were known for being, athletes. And there was one that was like a Jewish fraternity, and there's one that's like a party fraternity. And we were everything, like they are now. Mm-hmm. We would win academics. We'd win athletics, intramurals. Mm-hmm. Greek sing, they had back then, Greek games. We had the highest GPA, and the women loved us. And we had a swimming pool. We were the only ones, so that was easy to build on. So getting in trouble, well, there's a lot of things that I guess the statute of limitations has passed by now, right? As a pledge, I did what people do now, is jumping off the roof into the pool. I mean, not now, but not too long ago. Yeah. Stealing food out of the kitchen. I think they called it pimping the kitchen, doing stuff. And
how about more noble things? Did you hold a leadership role in your pledge class?
Yeah, I was the pledge class philanthropic chairman.
There we go. Let's hear about that one.
There is a funny story about that. That was part of going active. You had to do a philanthropic project and earn money and do something.
Yeah, they still have it, the Pledge Class Philanthropy Project. Good,
that's a good thing. Yeah. And I thought that was an important role to be philanthropic. So it turned out we hooked up with the Pi-Fi pledges, and we had a car wash, and it's where Whataburger used to be, right?
Yep.
This is a story. I'm glad you just brought this up.
Yeah.
We had a car wash. And all of a sudden, I'm in charge. I'm the philanthropic chairman. It's my car wash, and the Pi-Fis are in their bathing suits, and everything's going great. And, $5 or whatever it was. And so somebody goes, "Hey, Digger, we're out of towels. We can't wash and stuff." I'm like, "Uh-oh, what are we going to do?" Well, put them out to dry. So somebody, and it wasn't me, had a great idea. They went across the street, and it was a Holiday Inn, and they saw like one of those maids carts. So they grabbed a stack of towels. And they say, there's a green stripe. I still remember this. It says Holiday Inn on it. It's white with a green stripe that says Holiday Inn. And it just so happened one of our last customers was the GM of Holiday Inn. And so he drives in, everything's going good, his car's all soapy and stuff, and all of a sudden, slap on the front of his windshield, he sees the Holiday Inn emblem. And so he gets out and he's going, okay, he's counting the towels. And we made like $50, but we had to pay $75 to the Holiday Inn for stealing their towels. So
you didn't do so well that year.
No, well, it was meant well. So we still got credit for our project. So
it all started with the Pledge Class Philanthropy for you, and then you get a taste for organizing events, and then you become the social chairman in the house. Well, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say after that I became the PR chairman, which is like you're the liaison with Sigma Nu, and it's kind of like. I don't think they have it anymore, but
it's a big deal. We still have it for sure.
Okay. Sending cards to the sororities like "Thank you for coming over."
Yeah,
and
now
kind of stuff.
In the modern sense, it's all digital, right? Social media and Facebook and all these things, and tracking down alumni, communicating with headquarters, communicating with the school, the sororities, parents. I mean,
big time. You guys are.
So you laid the foundation for us for PR way back then.
There you go. I was one of them at least. It was PR. What else did I do? I did a couple other things, but nothing high. I thought at the time in my brain, I was like football, intramural, a football coach, player kind of thing. But I thought, I'm in a fraternity. Yeah, we got an eminent commander. We got this and that and the other thing. I go, treasurer, who cares? I'm the social chairman. That's the most important thing. So I actually ran for it, and I remember they said, well, give us some examples. You had to say what you wanted to do and everything.
During your interview.
Yeah. And so, they had this group thing, and so I'm like, okay, well, I want to have a food fight, which we did. And I said, I want to have come as your favorite tool. I don't think they let us do that one, but then we did the marry a DG, where I dressed as a priest, and we had these marriage certificates, so people would mingle, and they'd say, hey, I want to get married. So they come up to me, priest digger. I have a picture of it somewhere. And I made them each do a tequila popper, so where you slap it on the ground. And then they would, and the priest would probably say, one for you, two for me. And so then they were married. They got a license. And then in order to get married to somebody else, you had to come and get divorced and do another tequila popper. So, and then that turned, we had a food fight party. That was one of mine too. Trash cans full of like baked beans and Jell-O and spaghetti. And it was, I forget what sorority it was in, but it started off as a food fight. And it ended up as a shower party with a sorority. But we had our clothes on. But we were in the shower with a keg. So
those are the parties back then.
Oh, yeah. But we just like now, we were the house. Mm-hmm. You had some other big houses. You had, SAEs, Fidel's, Pikes. They were all pretty good. And then you had Old Row, like the Fijis and Phi Size and those kind of guys. But, yeah, I was all hooked in. And then, of course, I was finally bringing my grades back up. I was proud to say that once I got into the School of Business, I was above a 3.0. So to go from a 1.5 up to, and of course, the 1.5 included physics and chemistry and all these things, which I didn't want to wake up early.
Yeah. Yeah. So overall, such a well-rounded experience at Sigma Nu, and there's such a diversity of amazing things that we do every single year, and it's been like that for decades and decades and decades. How do you describe it to people who weren't in a fraternity, and do you still talk about Sigma Nu a lot with your friends and everything?
All the time. Well, my son's a legacy at ZY, Patrick Barnes. Hey, Pat. I'm staying at his house right now. My dad would come to visit, right? And, he's kind of got an eye like, what's this whole fraternity stuff about? And he kind of said, okay, I can understand. And I said, saying, Dad, they're helping me with school and, athletics and all this kind of stuff. So he's like, okay, I agree with it. But I said, we weren't like every other fraternity. It wasn't Animal House at all, even though that was filmed at a Sigma Nu house at Oregon, right? We were well-rounded. We were diverse. And like I said earlier, we won everything. And the women loved us.
And they loved you. And that's why you were DG Anchorman. Is that right?
I was DG Anchorman twice, 2 consecutive times. Well, good question. I never dated a DG that I know about, that I remember. But I don't know. They just somehow liked me. And I remember this girl who was grew up Hawthorne, Manhattan Beach, California. Okay. And I was close to this girl, Sandra, I don't remember, Bowling. Yeah, she's from Manhattan Beach. And she asked me to go to this DG ball or whatever it was called. And I'm like, I thought it was weird because we were friends, but, I'm like, why would you ask me, So I go there and they announced it and it was me and I forget the other guy's name. And I'm like, what? It was like, I don't know how to experience it, but it was pretty crazy. And then I got it again. So I loved it. And the DGs, I got to be careful because my daughter was a Theta at ASU. But the DGs, they were the shit. Yeah. They were beautiful. Ask anybody.
Yeah. They still are.
Yes,
and they still do Anchor Splash, and it's a big event.
Anchor Splash, that was fun.
Yeah.
I still have, I have something. What did I get from them? I have a tie with anchors on it and all sorts of stuff. And of course, when Sigma Nu had Coors Relays back in the day, I was the DG coach. And do you ever see the movie Stripes with Bill Murray?
Me? No, but I'm sure everyone watching has.
It was back in the early 80s, late 70s. And there's a part where Bill Murray brings in the troops and they're like, boom, chaka-laka-laka, boom. Well, we're getting ready to go in. Coors Relays had all the sororities stacked up on Alpha Row, right? Alpha Street, Alpha
Drive.
Christ. Sorry. And
been
so
40
I'm
years.
sitting out there, and it was me, and I think, who was Todd Eichen was he was a pledge. He was my assistant coach. And I had the anchor hat on and everything, the sailor hat. And well, all of a sudden I look across the street because we didn't know where we were just going to go in and cheer. Yeah, give us a beer. We're GGs. We're going to win. And I go across the street and I see these ROTC guys that are dressed in military. And so I went over there. I go, how would you guys see those girls over there? How would you like to walk in? And I'll give you a free beer. And so they walked in next to us, and we're like Bill Murray, boom, chakalaka. We came in like in military style. And I'm like, that was perfect. So that was fun. Everything was fun, but everything was also, we wanted to remain the gentleman, known as the gentleman for the most part. We wanted to also be fun, but we also wanted to be the smart guys. We had so many, and I know they still do, ASU student body presidents back then and now. We were a rock chapter. I think I mentioned that. I remember, I think people get this wrong. When I was there, Jack Tolliver, we call him the Godfather, he took this big old paddle and broke it over this rock, and they buried it underneath the rock, and they said, that's no hazing.
Yeah.
And so
the breaking of the paddles. This is a story that remains today.
Yeah,
so tell us that story, because I've always heard about that happening, and that was sort of a turning point for the chapter in terms of...
Well, we were already not hazing. I mean, during Rock Week, other fraternities call it Hell Week, and you could hear when they have their Hell Week, people like SAEs, they would put their pledges in a dumpster and spray them with water while they had to, sing a song or whatever. All we had to do, well, it's not all we had to do. We had to do a project for the house, and we had to keep the house nice and spotless and clean. While we had to do other things, you had to take a test, get visitations with actives, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. Oh, I was a pledge marshal too.
Oh. What'd you like most about that role? You ever think about it anymore?
No, I had to remind actually Dave Holliday, who lives in Austin, Texas. I had lunch with him last week. I said, was I your pledge marshal? He goes, yeah, you were. And I go, oh, yeah. They slept in the chapter room. I just had to go in there and make sure they were doing the right things. And that was pretty easy going.
Yeah. That was Rock Week.
Yeah, Rock Week. So, yeah, that was fun. But, yeah, social chairman, in my opinion, was
the best of the best. Yeah. And now I hear that there was this little thing about a tunnel. There were these tunnels that went under ASU.
Yes. So Ray Burnell,
who was he student body president as well?
I thought he was vice president, but he could have been president.
Yeah, he was president.
He was like a year or two young. He was a year, or two younger than me, and we were at some event. At a bar in Tempe with a sorority. And so we're sitting there closing time or whatever. And he's like, did you know there's this whole labyrinth of tunnels underneath the campus, right? And I go, no, I didn't know that. Why? Well, they connect all the buildings, and there's wiring, there's steam, water, all that. That's the plant, right? And I go, that's where the mainframe is, computer. And this is back when computers, no one had, now it's on our phone. Those are computers. Back then, punch cards and all this other, it's just, I can't even explain how basic it was. No one had computers. And so I was drunk at this party, and so was Ray, believe it or not. And so I thought, you know what? How do we get into these tunnels? The way my mind works, I'm like, I'm going to get in the tunnels, and I'm going to find the mainframe, and I'm going to change my grades. That's what you do when you had been drinking. So we had a pledge. And this is kind of close to hazing, I guess. But we had a pledge. Bruce Witcher, I think was his name.
Did he ever get initiated?
I think so.
Okay.
But he was like computer geek.
Uh-huh.
Back then, you had to be a geek to be into computers. Now it's just you got to be into computers. But so I thought, I'm taking him with me, and he has no choice. So he was asleep. I got home 2 a.m., whatever, grabbed him off the top bunk of his bed on the bottom floor, wherever, and he's like, oh, no, I'm going to get hazed. That's probably what he thought.
Yeah.
I took him into the kitchen, and we made some sandwiches, and he's like, what are we doing? I go, you'll find out. And so Ray had told me around campus, and you'll still see them, there's these silver, you walk on them, it's got dunk, dunk, dunk. There's cement, and there's a silver thing. Those are access to the tunnels. And it's like 3 levels. I'm an expert now, by the way. I should get a job at ASU. Ironically, there's another story that goes to that. But
Digger, the tunnel guy.
Yeah, the tunnel guy. Dig, tunnel, get it?
Right.
So I wasn't thinking that way. So I took Bruce down there, and I said, he's like, wow, he thought it was kind of cool, but he was nervous, as he should have been. And I got nervous eventually. But you go down there, and you flip on a light, all these fluorescent lights, and it'll say, like, painted on the side of the wall, it'll say, like, English building with an arrow. So it kind of helped us, and we're cruising around, going all the different levels, and we kind of got lost. And somehow we happened upon the mainframe. And all that was separating it from the tunnel was like a chain link fence with a wrapped chain and a lock on it. So you know how you can get in between sometimes? I was not able to. My arms were too muscular, so just kidding. So I had Bruce, and he couldn't get in there. He probably acted like he couldn't get in there because what's he going to do? So I go, oh, well, I guess I'll have to get good grades on my own now. So now we're trying to get out. So then afterwards, I started telling people, and so did Bruce. So people are like, really? So I said, yeah. So I started giving tours.
Of course.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Digger's going to give tours to the kids. So I think one time they caught on, and we were being chased. But then we went back again like a week later, right? I'd bring sorority girls down there or whatever, and there was a group of us, and there's a guy named Ken Cruikshank who was in my pledge class, fastest guy I ever knew to this day. And he lives here in town. Hey, Ken, I'll talk to you soon. He was down there doing that with us. He was part of the tour. And so over by MU, there's that cul-de-sac, and that just happens to be one of the exits that was open. By the way, they're mostly locked. You got to find one that's open. You got to walk around. And so we come out there. Well, just so happens there were police waiting for us. And they're helping us get up out of the tunnel. There was like 8 or 9 of us at the time. And there's 3 police cars. They got their lights on. And there's, 6 cops or whatever. And I think they're campus cops. I don't think they were Tempe cops. Now they would probably be FBI, right? And we're all sitting there helping us. And then all of a sudden, we see one of the cop cars with the lights on go down, heading east down whatever that street is, McAllister or whatever, toward rural. And like, what the hell? Where's Ken? And all of a sudden, about 200 yards down, the car, door opens, and Ken Cruikshank gets out, and he is just running. And the cops are running, right? And so we're sitting there like we're waiting for the cops, and I'm like, why are we waiting? They don't know what our name is. So we all ran and got back to the house.
And everyone got away with it.
Everybody got away with it. And then at the senior banquet, this is where Pete Berkey comes in. They had all these awards given away, right? And one of them was above, or no, it wasn't above. It was on-campus achievement, right? Which is a real serious good, probably the student body president or whatever. And they got like a Cross pen or a Mont Blanc pen or something. Everybody's like, very good. Well, Pete Berkey right after that goes, oh, wait a minute, there's one more award. And he had this old chewed up big pen out of ink, and he goes, Digger Barnes for under-campus achievement. And it was dead silent, a couple chuckles, and he got in trouble, but hey, you're making fun of something that's serious. But now people remember this. They don't remember who got the other ones.
Right.
But, yeah, that was the tunneling. And, God, I had something else to say about that.
The tunnels are an unbelievable story.
Oh, and Scott tells, it's like the new pledge classes. I hear he tells some of these stories. Yeah.
Yeah. He does his rock walk during Rock Week, and they lug a rock around campus with them that ends up going into the rock bed in front of the house. So if you ever go to the house today, you'll see rock after rock after rock, and they all paint their badge number on it.
Nice.
And so it's your pledge class rock. But when he is on campus showing off where the old houses were at, not just 601, but all the other houses that we had lived in historically and different memories on campus so that they understand the history, he also talks about the tunnels. So you have now discovered a part of chapter history and ASU history.
I love it. And I did a lot of other stuff too, but that was the one that really was kind of daring and stuck. And I was just like, hey, let's go change my grades, which is stupid to think, but I had to get good grades on my own, I guess, which was hard to do for Digger, man, because I was pretty busy with DGs and Bandersnatch and all those important things, being a social chairman.
Yeah.
But yeah, to this day, like I said, I came into town last week. I was in Austin, Texas, had lunch with Dave Holiday. Today, I was at Chuck Box. I can still taste it on my tongue.
With Pete Berkey.
Yeah, with Pete Berkey, who was the one who gave me the award.
Yeah. The only reason I know these names is because of Amster's relays footage. And he's like, Pete Berkey.
Yeah.
And so you sort of learn after you watch it a million times like I had.
Those are fun to watch, but they're also kind of creepy, I guess, to say.
I love it. I think it's hilarious.
There's one where I had just graduated. And, of course, I'm coming back like the year after to go to Coors Relays, right? But it was different. I had like a mustache, like a corporate mustache and all this kind of stuff. And Brian, I think, wanted to interview me. So I was being all serious and, yeah, Jeff Digger Burns. I'm like, yes, this was Coors Relays. And I remember my voice even sounded kind of, hi, you know. But
how many years did you go back as an alum?
You mean to Coors Relays? Couple. I wanted to go, but I'm like
2, 4, 10, like Amster.
No. I would say 2, maybe 3. I got a black eye after one of them.
From who?
Steve Johnson, Sugar Ray Steve Johnson, who played on the ASU baseball team.
You must have done something really bad.
Again, we were post Coors Relays, so you know what condition we were in.
Yeah.
And we went to, I think it was Greg Holgraffer's apartment. And Steve was there, Greg was there, a couple other guys were there, and he had boxing gloves. So I'm like, just do it, man. And so I was pretty much getting the best of everybody until Steve put on the gloves, and he just caught me, poof, and I felt my eye. I had never gotten a black eye in my life, believe it or not. I used to get in fights all the time, and my eye immediately starts swelling up, and I'm like, I'm done.
All right.
So they had, again, this was the year after I graduated, so I'm going to work the next day. And no one knew about Coors Relays or anything, but what happened to your eye? Oh, I fell. Fell on somebody's fist, I think. But, yeah, so I went a couple years after, but...
Best memories ever, right?
Oh, yeah, Coors Relays.
Did you ever chair it as philanthropy chairman?
No. I was a coach. Definitely worked a lot on it. And as a pledge, we had the the Sigma Chi's across the street. Mm-hmm. They were kind of jealous of that because we had all the sororities and the swimming pool, and they hated that. So they would set up, we were called the Ducks back then. I know we're the Snakes, but they called us the Ducks, the fraternity guys did, because we had a pool, right? We even had a real duck, a pet duck. But they set up a duck blind with a big catapult, and they threatened to like launch. Our pool is immaculate that night. The night before, all the pledges guarded it.
Right.
And the Sigma Chi set up a duck blind with a catapult. They were threatening to launch like paint balloons and all this other stuff. They never did. They just sat out there and got drunk and teased
I think
us.
I've heard a story where dirt was thrown in the pool the night before, and Amster had to get a pump.
Oh yeah, I heard.
Pumping it out the morning of.
Probably.
I don't know if he had to call the fire department or what it was, but
several hoses.
Yeah, that's good rivalry and fun games with the other chapters before relays like that. But obviously, it's so important.
Yeah, that part was not good, but yeah, the rivalries, and they were all jealous.
Yeah,
for many reasons.
Yeah,
but we had the pool.
Yeah,
and the infamous diving board is still around, right?
Yeah. Have you signed it?
Oh yeah, I signed it at one of the first reunions they had. But I remember during Coors Relays, the diving board was famous for not just diving. The best thing that people waited for was the bathing suit competition. Each sorority had like their best girl. It looked best because they wanted to win everything, right?
Of course.
And of course,
it's for the children. It's for charity.
Oh yeah, of course. And the girls by then were like, oh. And they had to get up on that diving board, right? And that's where they kind of walked out and did their little thing, and they had music and all that kind of stuff. And of course, when I was the DG coach, I hope she doesn't get mad at me saying this, DG, her name at the time was Nancy Almond, and she's still in town. We're still really good friends, but she won.
We're going to get sued by Nancy.
Nah, she won't sue. She won the bathing suit competition.
Oh,
she
great.
still could probably win it.
Oh, great.
There you go, Nancy.
That's nice of you to say.
Yeah.
Aren't you dating a girl currently from ASU, or should we not talk about this?
No, that's fine. That's why I moved to Texas. I was dating her back then. She was a Tridelt. Her father was dean of students at the time, Dr. George Ham.
Smart. You had to have that insurance policy in
but
case your grades went down the tubes.
I know. I'm thinking, why am I still allowed to date you if he has access to my records? And to this day, I tell people, I believe it or not, I never got arrested, guys. I never spent a day in jail. I came so close, more than anybody else, but I got out of it every time. You want to hear another funny story that we didn't talk about in the past? I used to work at Minder Binders, which was a bar down on past the power plants. Now it's another bar, but it was a really cool bar back then. McClintock University. And so illegal. After we closed down the bar, we would, carry the kegs and do all this stuff, and then we would drink. They would do what's called spillage. They would combine the bottles, and so they'd open the kegs, and we'd sit in there for another hour. And I remember doing this several times, and I had a drink in my hand. I was pretty hammered because I drank beer and shots, right? But I had like a rum and Coke or something stupid. And I had a cigarette. I never smoked in my life, but I had a cigarette. And back then I had a little Porsche 914.
Nice.
Which is a glorified Volkswagen, but it would still go pretty fast. So I'm coming home, smashed, down University.
Oh, no.
Toward the house. And I'm going like 95 miles an hour. And I pull into the Sigma Nu house and pull into the parking lot. And I've still got my drink in my hand, a cigarette hanging out of my mouth. And I look behind me, and there's like a cop car with the lights on. And I'm like, oh, man. And he comes up to the car, and he's like, all right, get out of the car. So I said, okay. And I gave him my drink. I go, hold this, please. So I go out there in the parking lot, and some people are like, wow, did you guys see, people started coming out, and they're on the ledge, and they're coming out. Oh, is Digger in trouble? And I'm doing this thing. And next thing I know, there's like 50 brothers out there cheering me on. Come on, Digger, you can do it. And I would do I would pass one of them, and then I'd look up there and kind of go like this, like this. And I remember the cop. He said, oh, tilt your head back. And he was much shorter than I was at the time. And he goes, touch your nose. And I thought in my brain, I was sober enough to say, well, he's shorter. He can't see if I really have my eyes open or not. And he kept like 7 times, I said, shut your eyes. So somehow I passed. And I remember him saying, Mr. Barnes, you are borderline. I knew I was getting out of it at the time. But then I had, what's he going to do? He has 50 guys cheering me on.
Wow.
So, again,
that could have been bad.
Brotherhood.
Well, I'm glad you didn't get a DUI.
I know. I never, yeah. And back then, I'm sorry. I don't mean to act like all I did was,
No.
get in trouble. And I never got caught.
Never
one
got
ever
caught.
did.
Hey, that's all that matters at the end of the day. Okay, a few more things I want to touch on.
Okay.
What were these walkouts? There was.
Oh, yeah. We used to do, and I think they ought to bring it back. We used to, as a pledge class, another thing, and philanthropic chairman, you had to do this, that, and house project, and we had to do a walkout. It shows brotherhood, right? A walkout is where you had to do all your duties, because while you're a pledge, you are doing all the work, right? Hashing for the kitchen, cleaning the pool, trimming the bushes, whatever. And so you had to everybody had to sign off their jobs. You had to make sure the actors had their meal. And the last thing you had to do was take the flag down. We had this big old flagpole toward the activity center. I don't forget what it's called now, where they play basketball. And so our pledge marshal was Doug Harker. We did this up good. We had 3 RVs stacked with Heineken. And we're all in there waiting for Ken Cruikshank again to get the flag down. And so he's like quickly, like this, the flag's coming down, and all of a sudden the actors are like, walk out! out. And he jumps jumps in, and we're just peel out. And we went to the UCLA game, ASU UCLA game, and actives were going too. And so at halftime, I think it was halftime, they had a thing up on the scoreboard that said, Sigma Nu, Arizona State successful walkout. So to take that one step further, my son, the legacy, and he wasn't there at the best time. I mean, there's still a lot of good guys that came out from that era, from his pledge class and others, but I would kind of go over there and talk to him sometimes. And I go, oh, when are you guys having your walkout? And they're like, what's a walkout? I go, are you kidding me? I said, you guys got to do this, brotherhood. So I told them exactly what to do. And none of these active members had no idea. So they thought these guys were being dicks and just like trying to screw them. So they were pissed off. And I'm like, hey, guys, my bad. But I think you ought to do a walkout again.
Yeah. Another thing that you mentioned was past, present, and future.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a good story, too. I think you guys ought to do that again. I'm saying you guys as if you're almost still there, right?
Yeah, I guess.
You're still super involved.
I still feel like I'm 18.
You're like, I'm still there, yeah. You're doing a good job, by the way.
Thank you.
And by the way, you guys are kicking ass today. Everybody from our era would say the same thing. Even though we know we were great, you guys are awesome, too. It's hard to say you're better, but you probably are. Whole different way of doing things too. But they had a thing called past, present, future, and it was kind of like one of the last days of the rush week, and they bring back the final guys that they were looking at and everything, and maybe go to get a bid. They gave them dinner, and they're all dressed up and everything. So they would have past, someone like myself who was a past member, present, an active member, and future, that was supposed to be the pledges that were invited to dinner. So again, I'm winging it like I am there. I get up and give a speech, and at the end of my speech, I just said, okay, let me put it this way. How many guys are from Arizona? And about half these guys raised their hand, maybe even a little more. And I said, well, how many of your parents went here? Because at the time I'm thinking, okay, their parents are about my age. And they said, well, about 40%. And I said, how many had aunts or uncles that were in fraternities or sororities at Arizona State? And, I'm holding the microphone. And again, a good portion said, oh, like that. And I said, go ask your mom which fraternity to join. And then I dropped the mic down.
Classic.
Oh, I loved it. It just came to me, right? And so the people were like, woo.
We got to get you back in this fall to do that exact same thing.
Sure.
That's a great story, Digger.
I'll do it, yeah.
All right, so let's do a speed round. We're going to end with speed round questions here.
Okay.
We'll start it with a serious one.
Okay.
What do you want your Sigma Nu legacy to be? You're already sort of known by everyone.
Yeah. Well, I like to be known for what I'm known for, but also I was seriously, as you know, I'm one of the guys that you go to find out everybody's addresses and phone numbers and emails and stuff, because I still tried to stay involved. I still lived in Phoenix until recently and tried to be part of the house. So I want to know that I was just, I don't want to say serious, because that's the last thing people will think of me, but that I was dedicated to Sigma Nu and a true brother. And my pledge class, we all still love each other and talk daily to somebody in my pledge class.
Who's the one guy from your pledge class you want to give a shout out to?
Oh, I can't give it out to one. From my pledge, I'd say Ken Cruikshank, Ron Waring, Ron Kennedy. He was he was an eminent commander eventually. There's so many guys.
I won't put you on the spot like that, because whoever you leave out.
You guys know who you are. I love you guys.
Who was the most funny guy from your pledge class?
The most funny guy?
Yeah.
Oh, I was.
Who was the most social guy?
I was.
Who was the nerdiest guy? You definitely weren't that.
No, I was not nerdy. I was cool. The nerdiest guy, okay, maybe, let me think. I might have to change my answers. Oh, shout out to Ron Waring, too.
No one focused on academics in your day.
I'll say Doug Timmons. How about that?
Oh, yeah, and he went on to do really well, huh?
Yeah. Nerds do well.
We got to get him into the podcast
Yeah,
studio.
and we were born on the same day.
Oh,
And he
same year?
Same year,
Yeah.
everything.
Wow.
And so what's Thunderbirds?
The Thunderbirds.
Yeah.
The Phoenix Thunderbirds?
No,
The Thunderbird School of Global Management. No.
jumping off the roof Thunderbirds.
Oh.
Into the pool.
Shows where my mind's at.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you a Thunderbird too?
Oh, yeah.
At the house?
Several times.
So describe what being a Thunderbird is.
Okay, so Thunderbird is, there's a ledge, which everybody jumps off the ledge, right? But then on the roof, you're 2 stories up, and the pool looks about this big at the time. And to be a Thunderbird, first it's hard to climb up there, and no one ever goes up there sober, right? And so you jump off the roof into the pool, and then you become a Thunderbird. And I know we didn't have this. We didn't call it this. The Sky King, I heard later on,
Yeah.
came along.
Yeah.
I'm like, I would never do that, or maybe. But so Doug, fraternity brother, we love each other. Our birthdays were May 16th, last week, right? And so it was always when school was ending.
Mm-hmm.
Finals were over. So we, Doug and myself and Brad Cooper would get naked, get drunk, and jump off and do Thunderbirds for my birthday and his birthday. Matter of fact, Doug sent me a message saying, hey, know any roofs we could jump off? This was like last week, right? So that was kind of fun.
That's great.
Back to speed round.
Back to speed round. Top sorority house.
Then
Yep.
DG.
Top fraternity house besides us. And what do you have
Besides
to-
us,
Yeah.
I would say probably, I hated the SAEs. They were pretty strong, but probably Phi Delts, I
Yeah.
would say.
Did you have a relationship with the alumni advisor?
Yeah.
Who was it?
Wait, alumni.
Thorne? Pete?
Oh, we knew all those guys. They were pretty, yeah. We were kind of intimidated by them, right?
Mm-hmm.
They'd come in, on Sunday nights after chapter, and they'd come in, old Ben, like they probably think of me.
Yeah.
Don't be intimidated by me, by the way. Yeah, they definitely knew them. We also had an RA back. Do they still have that?
No, but I know that that's what you were confusing it for. So the resident advisor.
Yeah.
A
Who's
recent
used-
grad usually.
Yeah, and they, I think Neil Giuliano was an
Yeah.
RA.
Yeah.
All sorts of people that we all knew, and and they always kind of had their own room over on the other side.
Yeah. Stay away.
Yeah.
Okay, last question.
Okay.
Describe Sigma Nu in 30 seconds, and then describe it in one word. Start with one word.
One word.
One word to describe Sigma Nu.
Best.
Okay. Now describe Sigma Nu to a freshman in 30 seconds.
It is different than any other fraternity. You will not just be a brother for 3 or 4 years. You will be a brother for life. And it's a true thing. I do business with people. I partner with people. I hang out with people. I spend a night at their house when I'm in town and vice versa. And we're so tight. And you're friends for life. It's not some of these other fraternities. You might have 5 guys that still hang out, but like Tom on my way out.
Yeah, Travis Tom.
Yeah, he sat there and spoke for 15 minutes before he left, just because we were brothers.
Yeah. But he wasn't from your generation.
Yeah, he was 1990, I think he said.
Right.
That's why he said, "Oh, you're Digger." I'm teasing. I'm having fun being kind of
You're
cocky
great.
and loving myself.
This is
but
why everyone loves you. And that's a good note to end on. Can
Thank
you
you.
believe it's been almost an hour?
Has it really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So that's why we got to have you on for part 2 and
Okay.
then part 3. And it'll be a 10-part series.
Oh,
Probably,
great. I'm
right?
in.
Well, thanks
And
for
next
coming
time I
on.
will have better clothes.
You look great. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming on.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Great job, Sigma Nu.